I'm Mel.
And I'm Janelle.
And this is the Murder Mamas.
The Murder Mama. Welcome. I knew you weren't going to let it slide. I was trying.
Just giving you the death stare.
You really were. That was a very urgent stare. Say it.
Say it.
Say it now.
Oh, yes.
How are you?
I'm good. It's been a long week. I don't know why, but it has.
Same.
Yeah. Well, yeah, yeah.
Same. Do you just want to jump into it?
Sure. Let's do it.
This is going to be a long guy, right?
It should be a long one. Hopefully it's a long one.
Maybe a two-parter.
Maybe a two-parter. We'll see. All right. So today...
Oh, but if it's not a two-parter, then there won't be a case.
Then, yeah, if we don't make it long enough, then we will not have a case out next week because I will be in Mexico enjoying myself on the beach. Bitch, yeah. So today we're going to talk about Young-chul.
Okay.
And I apologize profusely before we start this episode because everyone knows by now that I don't know how to speak. But this case was very interesting to me, so I'm going to try and make it work and do better.
Do better?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So we're talking about that guy. I'm going to give you a little backstory of the Korean society, just so we kind of paint a picture of like the time and why this is happening.
Okay.
All right.
So he's Korean.
He's Korean, yes.
North or south?
South. I don't know if like anything... I wonder if we could find anything about North Korean murders. Like they probably, because they don't have the internet. I don't know. Never mind. I'll move on. Okay. So Korean society has undergone a major transformation since 1960. An economic miracle, demographic transition, urbanization, changes in family life, and the formation of civil society constitute the major features of the transformation.
Wow.
The collapse of the Singnong-rae regime attributed to student power in the 1960s and the institution of a military regime headed by Park Chung-lee 1 year later signaled the beginning of the whole process. The military government initiated a strong drive for economic growth and population control in 1962, and its efforts were rewarded. Yo.
This feels like history class.
Yeah, it is a little bit of a history. So I listened to several podcasts on this.
I'm like, listen.
And they all did like a backstory of Korean history. And I was like, whoa, I never knew that. Like, I didn't know like Japan had attacked it and owned it for a while. And then they separated. Like, I didn't know that. Did you ever know that? I just found it interesting, like history, like...
You know what I always find interesting that we never talk about? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
The Korean War?
Yes.
Like, I have no idea what that is, but I know that it was sometime after World War I and before World War II, or maybe after World War II. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just know that Don Draper fought in the Korean War, and he was on Mad Men. Like, that's what I know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is sad.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
Only thing I know about this war is from a fictional character on a very good TV show.
Yeah. So that's what I was thinking. And I was like, wow, that's a good idea. Like, let's give some backstory on a country that probably not a lot of people know about.
I mean, I wouldn't go so far as to say that.
No, like the history of it.
Okay.
That's what I meant. Not like the country itself. But
they make some good movies.
Yeah.
Have you seen Parasite? It won an Emmy and/or Oscar. Not sure what the difference is.
I don't know. Did you see Squid Games?
I did.
Yeah, that's from there.
Is it? Shocking. No, there's another one, Train to Busan, which is very good. It's a zombie movie.
Okay.
And it's a 10 out of 10. One of my favorites. The best zombie movie.
Okay.
Big fan.
Nice.
Okay.
All right.
Anyways, continue.
All right. Before its economy rose out of its traditional... like what they were doing, Korea was one of the poorest countries in the world with
Really?
yeah. I did not know that either. With few natural resources and rapidly growing population pressures. So apparently, Japan had taken over, and Koreans were not even allowed to speak Korean in Korea while Japan was ruling over them.
What year was this?
This was like way back, but like I'm talking about the 60s now. They just now started to gain their independence and get all this going. It's weird. Like I had no idea. Like it was under Japan's control for a while.
It's really interesting too that you mentioned like Japan, like the Japanese wouldn't let them speak their own language.
Yeah.
How like that's one of the first things that you do
Right.
to someone to like strip them of their independence is like to take away their community and their language.
Yeah.
You know, I'm thinking like natives here, like they weren't allowed to speak their languages.
Right. Yeah. It's insane. Yeah. And wasn't that long ago. Like, you know, we're not talking about 1,000 years ago.
So they ruled it until the 1960s?
I think, or I don't know if it was all the way to the 60s, but like it was
under their rule.
It was under their rule for a long time that I had no idea about.
Was that the Korean War? Is that what that was about?
Maybe that was what that was about. Yeah, maybe. Well, I know the Korean War divided North Korea and South Korea, and that's how North Korea became North Korea and South Korea became South Korea. So I don't know if
it was from that separation.
That war. There may have been something else.
All right, we got more
Let's
research
just not.
Some more history to learn.
Okay. All right, before its economy, did I already say that?
Probably.
In 1960, the per capita gross national product was about $80, and 25 million people resided on approximately 100,000 square kilometers or 62,000 square miles of land. 25 million people. It's a lot of people, not a lot of land.
Okay. I don't know what a square mile is.
I should have done like a...
This is as big as Manhattan.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
It's like...
smaller than Rhode Island.
It's like Seoul is like this big in like, you know...
No one else can see.
No one else can see. It's not a visual podcast, but I'm saying this big. And then there are people that live there are like this much. So there's not a lot of land and there's a shit ton of people.
Got it.
Basically is what happens.
Population density is very high.
Yes. Oh, here we go. I actually have this in my notes. In addition, the country had been divided into two political entities after its liberation in 1945 from the 35-year colonial rule of Japan and a civil war during 1950 to 1953, which was the Korean War, reconfirmed the division. There it is. I was like, I knew I put that somewhere.
I knew about something about
like that. I wrote some of the things down and I just didn't write some other things down. So we're just going to do this from memory and we'll see how it goes. Korea's demographic transition started in the early 20th century with the introduction of Western medical and health systems. Mortality rates declined and the life expectancy of Koreans increased from 37 years. That's what their life expectancy was. Are you listening?
I was listening, but then I'm sorry, I got distracted because I was Googling the Korean War. Mm-hmm. I was curious. And I just saw a news article from a day ago that says scientists identify remains of Army sergeant killed in Korean War.
Oh.
Remains of Washington Parish, which is in New Orleans, like Louisiana, man taken prisoner in Korean War identified.
Wow. That's insane.
Sorry. Okay. Can you...
So mortality rates declined and the life expectancy of Koreans increased from 37 years. That's what their life expectancy was. 37 years old during 1925 to the 1930s. That's it. To 52 years during the 1955-60s.
Wow. That's a really big increase.
Yeah.
Do you think it's because a lot of babies were dying? So it like drags down the average?
It may have been, yes. There's a lot of poverty, like where they live or where this man lives. And not a lot of resources or ways.
Maternal health.
Yeah.
Prenatal care.
Yeah, none.
Okay.
Responding to the high population pressure coupled with extreme poverty, the government became more involved in family planning. Fertility began to decline rapidly in the 1960s and reached the bare population replacement level in the mid-1980s. Fertility transition had progressed at a tempo unprecedented in any demographic history, taking only 20 years to complete. Fertility has continued to decline, such that a year 2000 fertility level should lead to a population reduction of 30% in 30 years.
Wow.
So they're like, here's some birth control.
Well, and
is what it sounds like.
It was like there's too much
Yeah.
now. Like
Yeah.
now we can't continue.
Yeah. Right.
Which actually the U.S. is not. We're below our population replenishment.
Is that a bad thing? Like, there's a lot of people on the earth.
I mean, I think it's not a bad thing today, but it becomes a bad thing in 30 years when, like, we're all old and sick and then there's no one new to, like, take care of us. Like,
still a lot of people out there, though.
Yeah, I'm sure someone smarter than you and I figured out what the number is and, like, why we're not there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say smarter than us. Someone smarter than us.
Yeah.
But who spent their career focusing on
right.
that. Right. Like, if I spent my time learning about that and focusing on that, I would probably understand that more.
Right.
But I didn't.
Right.
So, here we are.
Here we are. The proportional increase of the urban population began in the early colonial period, but urbanization in its modern sense had to wait until 1960. In the 1960s, a massive fight of farmers to cities was caused mainly by poverty in rural areas, and the proportion of the urban population increased from 28% to 41% between 1960 and 1970. The primary destination of these migrants was Seoul.
Seoul.
Young-chul is who we're talking about. His affinity for targeting the rich elderly has been attributed to the gap between social classes in Korea due to the financial crisis that the country fell into in 1997, where, quote, the rich got richer and the poor became poorer.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah. Yu himself grew up in a poor household in rural South Korea in Gochang and was bullied by his peers due to his family's financial status. Many believe that feelings of anger and resentment stemming from his childhood were exacerbated by the financial crisis.
They were what?
Exacerbated.
One more time?
What did I? Exasperated. Yeah, don't. Shut up. You know I'm not good with words.
You're the one who chose to speak.
I know.
No one forced you to do this.
Yeah. So,
keep in mind, this was always your idea. Mm-hmm. I really want a second mic, Mel.
I know you do.
I just want to lean back so that I'm too far away.
You are. All right. So he was born in April 1970 in Gochang-do. He had
I really am proud of your commitment to trying to say them correctly.
I have listened to so many podcasts, and like I listened to Korean podcasts on this podcast, so I could like, but they say it so fast that I was like, this is not helping at all.
I'm proud of you.
But then I watched the Netflix documentary, and that's really good. They gave a shit ton of information on that. And like the police that were working on the scene during these crimes were interviewed, and so it's from their perspective. So that was pretty cool. And like their names were said many times. We'll see. So he had a sister and two older brothers. His father was a Vietnam vet who couldn't maintain his income after returning from war. He was an alcoholic.
So many wars.
I know.
In such a short like time span, you know?
Yeah.
Like going back to history, like World War I, World War II, Korean War, Vietnam, like so many.
Yep. Yeah.
And then the Gulf War.
In
the 80s, right?
Yeah.
Early 90s?
90s, I think, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's a lot. Yeah. All this other shit that's going on. Yep. Yeah. So he was an alcoholic, and he chose to abuse his children when he was drunk with a hammer.
Like
Like, beat them with a hammer.
That's how you kill people. Like,
well, here comes you. So,
wow.
In the Asian culture, it's the family given name is the first, and then it's the name after that. So I'm going to try my best to pronounce, but we're going to be talking about you. So I'm just going to say you. So just know you is the bad guy.
Got it.
It's not you.
You never know.
All right. You never know. So things were so bad before his parents divorced that his mother actually considered killing him because of the hardships that they were under. Like that bad. They were like poorer than poor. He had his Vietnam money coming in, and that's what they were living off of. But he tossed it to alcohol, and like they didn't even live in a section with plumbing, running water, electricity, any like that. They had a well that they had to go walk to and get water to bring back.
I'm not sure if you said this, but I might have not been paying attention. Did he live? They lived in Seoul.
He was born somewhere else, and then they moved to Seoul. So yes,
at this time they're in Seoul.
Yeah, so once he moves, they're in Seoul, and this is that time.
Okay. I have another question.
Yes.
It's not a question. It's about his dad's alcoholism. Like, it feels sad to me to think that someone, like, maybe he was using it as, like, a coping mechanism for what he saw.
I'm sure that was probably a lot to do with it. Yeah. It's rough. So his father left his wife when you was 7, and
he was little.
Yeah, you went to live with his father because fathers tend to keep the children in divorces and so on.
No.
Well, his mom wanted to kill him, so I mean, like you can go live with someone who wants to kill you, or you can live with someone who beats you with a hammer.
Meant the mom wanted to kill the dad.
No, he wanted to kill the kids because there were too many of them and they couldn't eat. They had nothing.
Oh my God. Yeah. I would have been way more outraged if I had been paying attention. I'm just kidding. No, I was paying attention. No, I thought you meant she wanted to kill the dad, get rid of the dad.
No, she wanted to get rid of her children.
Oh.
Because they didn't have any money for food. They didn't even live in somewhere that had electricity or running water. Like they pooped outside. It's not good.
It's not fun pooping outside.
Not fun pooping outside.
Put that on a t-shirt. Smack that on a t-shirt and sell it in the store.
Yep.
It's not fun pooping outside.
So his father decided to remarry, and his stepmother was extremely violent.
Oh, shocking.
As well. So he didn't grow up in a great, Teachers said he was ordinary and obeyed the rules. He was a hard worker. In June 12th of 1985, when he was in middle school, his father died when a drunk driver hit him. So they moved in with their mother. He felt like he came out of his shell kind of then because he was not being abused anymore, by his father. So
did his mom still want to kill him?
I think by this time she was like, they're mine. Like, I have to take them.
Begrudgingly, I guess.
In high school, he was talented in art and sports. He loved track and gymnastics. He liked to sing and organize a group called the Signal Tree, which was like a glee club, I think.
Nice.
Yeah, so he wanted to become a painter and tried to get into an artsy high school, but they wouldn't take him in because he was colorblind. So that kind of sucks. Like, you can still be colorblind and do artsy things. My dad was colorblind. What does it matter?
He was a police officer.
Yeah, well, I know. He sees things in black and white.
That was terrible.
I'm sorry.
I hope you cut that for your own sake. This time I'm not asking for me. I'm looking out for you. No, I mean, sure, you can do things while you're colorblind. I
I just think it sucks. Like, they didn't even give him a chance. Like, he was really interested in the arts and, like, wanted to go to this school. And they were like, yeah, no, no.
But, like, colorblindness is also, like, a spectrum. Was it, like,
Yeah.
he thinks browns are greens?
I don't
Or,
know.
like...
I don't know what kind of
he
color
can't see shit.
Yeah,
because,
that's
like,
true.
there's a big difference,
That's
you know?
true, yeah.
Go.
All right. So, this is when he kind of started doing his bad things. He first started off as, like, a thief. He first started off with theft.
The thieftery.
August 23rd, 1988, he was sent to juvenile hall or juvie for trespassing. April 1991, he went to the courthouse. On his way out of court, he came across a wooden cross and picked it up. And he believed this was, quote, a revelation from heaven. He believed that he would be given probation and that God was watching over him, but he was sentenced to prison time, not released on probation. So he said, quote, there is no God, and broke the cross and threw it on the floor.
Huh.
June 1991, 20-year-old Hang Mo, a skin masseuse at a cosmetic store. He became kind of infatuated with her. But during that time, he was sentenced to 10 months in prison in September of 1991 for stealing money and a neighbor's guitar. He was released.
They don't fuck around,
I know.
man.
He was released September 22nd in 1993. He worked as a studio photographer, and then at night he decided that he wanted to pose as a police officer and printed out himself a good old fake badge and got some handcuffs and looked the part.
Okay.
He did this to extort money from shopkeepers who sold porn on the streets.
That's smart.
Yeah, so prostitution is illegal in Korea, so that's just something to keep in mind. He, from 1993 to 1995, he was treated for mental disorders caused by a mental lobe epilepsy.
What?
Mental lobe epilepsy.
So, like, seizures?
So seizures, yeah. And by this time, his son had been born.
What? He has a son?
He was married. Did I not say that?
No.
Fuck.
You said he was infatuated with the skin masseuse girl.
Oh, yeah, that's her. And then they got married.
You completely missed that.
See, this is why if I don't write it all out, like, I'm just trying to remember things. It's not going to go well.
Okay,
right.
So he married the skin masseuse girl.
So he married her. He had a son.
And he's still living, like, a life of crime.
Still living a life. Like, that's just him. He never
So,
stops.
like, he does he have a regular job?
Well, he was working as what did I say? A studio photographer during the day, like, but that didn't pay much. So that's why he got a police badge.
He was thieving at night.
And he was thieving at night.
Well, extorting.
Yeah, extorting. So his son was born, and in 1994, his second brother was so distressed over his own blindness, he committed suicide at 32 by jumping off a roof.
What?
Yes.
He was blind or colorblind?
His brother was blind.
Oh my God.
And couldn't live with it anymore, so he committed suicide.
Ugh.
Yes.
Okay.
In April of 1995, the courts fined you 3 million won for selling negatives of porn and child porn. Not a good look.
Gross.
Yeah. He was also sentenced for impersonating a public official. In May,
pretending to be a cop.
Yep. In May of 1999, he was released from prison. But then in March 2000, he was arrested for impersonating a minor and raping a teenage girl in a car.
Whoa.
So he's escalating a little bit.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
So during this time, he faked...
I like that it's a crime to impersonate a teenager.
Right. Like, what?
I guess, like, if you impersonated a teenager to, like, walk down the street, that would be probably not a crime. But
right.
Like, the crime portion of that
Right.
made it a crime.
It's weird because minors
Like,
are always
wouldn't-
trying to be older and get fake IDs to make them older.
But like, wouldn't you just say like he got convicted or whatever
Right.
of raping a minor?
Yeah.
Rather than like impersonating a minor
He's
to then rape a minor.
Also, yeah.
Like,
I don't. Maybe they're just trying to like add as many things to his stuff. I don't know. Fuck. Who knows?
there's a word count minimum.
Oh fuck. Okay, so March 2000, he was arrested for I did that, and he faked an epileptic fit and was hospitalized. And during that time, he tried to escape the hospital.
I'm just gonna say epileptic.
What did I say?
Epileptic.
Epileptic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
The CT's really trippy up.
Epileptic. Yeah. So in October of 2000, he was sentenced again to 3 years
Jesus
and
Christ,
6 months.
man.
And December 24th, 2000, his wife was like, fuck you, I'm divorcing you, because she found out about the rape, and obviously because he went to jail.
Yeah. Good move, girl.
So by then, this is like up to 14 thefts and sexual assaults by now. Like, I haven't talked about every little theft, but like, we're up to like 14 of them on his record now.
Okay, so his rap sheet is 14 different
Crimes.
felonies. Like,
Yeah.
jail time crimes.
Jail time crimes, yes.
Okay. And most of them are theft and there's one rape?
And most of them are theft and there's one rape so far. So his wife...
So far.
So his wife was like, yeah, you're spending more time in prison than at home, so I don't want to be with you anymore. And people say this is like where he broke. He stopped speaking. He avoided people. He planned out to kill his ex-wife and his son. He instead decided to kill others. He doesn't go through with it. He stated he would murder people living around a church just to prove a point that there is no God, because when he found his cross and he didn't get probation instead of jail time, so now there's no God, so he's going to take it out on some other people.
I feel like... Okay.
Yeah.
Sure, I guess. Like,
Yep.
What an interesting...
He was said to have wrote the number of people he planned to kill on his prison wall.
What was the number?
I don't know. He vowed, I know he wanted to kill hundreds was what he said, like, later on. He was inspired by different serial killers while he was in prison and read up on them. September 11th, 2003, he was released and he went to live with his mother in Seoul. He did see his ex-wife and child one more time because he was going to kill them. But when he saw his son's eyes, he changed his mind and only decided to kill his wife. So he got his son out of the way and tried to kill his wife, but he couldn't do it because maybe they were man and wife. I don't know. He just couldn't go through with it. So they're still alive.
Great.
Yeah.
Good job not murdering.
Good job.
The woman you married. And
Right. Your
child. Nice work, bud.
Good job. Yeah. So because he couldn't actually do it to his child and his ex-wife, he started looking for surrogates. He really wanted people to know how intelligent that he thought he was, and did this a lot in like the way that he spoke to the police afterwards. He claimed to have an IQ of 140 plus, but in reality, he's just like a normal dude with not a high IQ.
Okay.
So he becomes fascinated with murder and is walking by like a construction site one day and sees the edge of a hammer and is like, oh, maybe I should use that because my dad did that to me. So why not, right? So he got the hammer, and trigger warning, he would bring dogs.
Trigger warning for what?
Oh, dogs. He would bring dogs up to wherever he did and stabbed them, and was put off by the blood and the dogs hollering and squirming that he decided it was probably best to just hit his victims in the head first. So he practiced on dogs.
Practicing on dogs.
And then he decided it was too much blood with the stabbing and like I don't want to clean that up. And there was too much noise because as you're being stabbed, you're still screaming. So he was like,
as one does.
That's just not going to work for me. So later that month was his first murder. He took this...
Took everything inside me to not go meh.
He took this hammer and like made it into his own way. So like when the cops were looking at different crime scenes, they could not figure out what the fuck these people were killed with because he kind of made his own hammer. Like he took a head off of one and a handle off another and like put them together because the hammer length when you're holding it was too long. He needed a shorter grip so he could, hit them in the head faster. So he customized his murder weapon and used silicone to fill in the gaps.
Oh, really?
He had suede gloves, which was good for climbing fences, and coated work gloves, which was a good grip for the murder weapon. So he would climb over people's gates. The wealthy that lived in Seoul lived in, they say, like it was like a garden in the front with a gate. So you'd open the gate and go into their garden, and then the house doors would be behind it. Mm-hmm. So if they had that garden and that gate, they were known as wealthy.
Okay.
That's how he knew they were wealthy. And so he would climb up the fence with one of his pairs of gloves and then switch the gloves to use his murder weapon. He carried a black shoulder bag with him.
Question.
Yes.
Is he still thieving at this time? Or
yeah, I think he's still thieving. Yeah.
So, like, he does not have a job.
I don't think he's working, like, at all, except for
thieving and murdering.
Yeah. Faking a police officer to get money from people who are selling porn and stuff like that on the streets. Okay. So, September 24th in 2003, Sensa Dong at 10:10 a.m., he likes to do things in the early mornings, like when people... So generations would live in these types of houses, mm-hmm. Grandparents and kids and grandkids.
I'm familiar with what generation.
Right. Okay. So he figured that...
Sorry, that was really rude. I didn't mean...
No, it's fine.
I kind of meant to be a little bit rude. But,
yeah.
It sounded worse.
Right. Okay.
I wanted it to.
So he figured...
Don't roll your eyes at me.
He figured that, like, the older people would be at home and they'd be easier to kill and take out than, the working, like the son and daughter versus the grandparent and the grandchild. Sumuki University professor Imitris Lee, 73, and his wife Lee, 68, were in the house that he decided to climb over. He was envious of houses with sunny gardens. He had the strong desire to take from those who had what he didn't. He targeted areas around churches to show God wouldn't protect them.
I just can't, I can't understand this mindset.
Yeah.
Like, obviously there's something not right because he's killing people.
Right.
And, raping people and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But, you've talked about this in, multiple cases. This is not right because I want this.
Right.
It's just fucking work for it.
Then
and
do
I
something
realize
different.
That sounds so much like pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Right.
But, that's not even what I mean.
Yeah. There's ways.
Get a regular job.
Yeah.
You can, create a nice little life for yourself.
Right. Well, I think the point being is he came from
nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So it was how do you become something? And you have nobody to back you. His parents, his dad's an alcoholic, his mom wanted him dead, and then his dad died, and it's just there's nothing going on for him.
Yeah.
So he approached the house wearing suede gloves. He observed for about 10 minutes. Then he climbed the fence and landed in the gravel part of the garden. He changed his coated work glove to the work gloves. He used a knife to open the door. He walked...
Open a door with a knife?
I don't know.
Okay.
Don't ask me details.
Bitch!
he checked around the house and saw that no one was on the second floor. So then he went to the living room where Professor Lee got up and was like, "What the fuck are you doing in my house?" And you told him to sit down. And Professor Lee decided he was going to like lunge toward you.
Yeah, like he wasn't going to go
like, fuck you, you're in my house. You stabs him in the neck. Then Mrs. Lee freaks out, thinks that he is just a robber and pleads for her life, taking money from the closet because they are a wealthy family. Like, here you go, take my things, take my money, like, just get out. And he says to her, "Do you think I'm doing this for the money?" Which is weird because it's like, aren't you? Like, you wanted...
No, it feels like, I mean, everything you've told, I know nothing about this guy except for what you've told me. And everything you've told me is like, he doesn't give a shit about the money.
True. That's true.
Like, he's trying to send a message.
He is trying to send a message, but I'm like, why don't you just rob them and then you have money and then you don't have to do this?
Well, I think because he wants to do it.
Yeah. So,
and also how fucking creepy to be like, here, take anything you want, and then being like, you think I give a fuck about your money?
Right. I know.
Like, you're targeted for your money, but that's not even the motive.
Yeah.
Like, the motive is, I'm just fucking, like, I just want to fucking kill you because you have money.
Yeah.
And I want money.
Yeah.
Money me.
Money me.
Money now.
So he hits Mrs. Lee with the hammer 3 times on top of the head, and then finishes off Professor Lee with the hammer and hits him 5 times in the head. You wiped everything down, locked the front door, and exited the main gate. Then he realized that he left his knife in the house.
So he had to go back.
So he climbed the wall, kicked in the door, smashing the door knob, and retraced his steps to retrieve the knife. And then he was like, oh, maybe I should make this look like a robbery because, like, hey, you know, I'm here. And so he trashed... I'm already here. So he trashed the closet and, like, opened the safes and everything, but didn't take any of the money.
Okay, I mean, like, at that point, you should just take the money.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
It really feels like he's trying to send a message.
Well, yeah, he is trying to send a message, but take the fucking money, too. There's, like, $100,000 in there. Like, they were, wealthy people. I would have taken...
Okay, let's not talk about what you would do.
Okay, so then he moves on to an elderly woman named Kan Mo, 85.
Is this like bam bam back to back?
Yeah, these are just back to back.
Like the same day?
I don't think the same day, but like in every couple days.
Oh my God.
Kind of, yeah, for like a week, every couple days.
Okay.
Yeah. So he struck her in the head in the bathroom, then stabbed, and she staggered out, and then he just hit her and hit her and hit her in the head over and over again with his hammer.
That doesn't sound like overkill at all.
Her daughter-in-law, Lee, 60, came downstairs. You threatened her with a knife. He sat her on the living room sofa and said, if you scream, I will kill you. Who else is upstairs? She said her husband and son were upstairs. You tells her to bow her head and she doesn't. So he kicks her in the stomach, watches her keel over, and then kills her in the head with his hammer. Then the grandson, 35, comes downstairs and he has, I think he was autistic. So he didn't really know what was going on. I think it was a heavy form of autism. I'm not sure how
developmental delay.
Yes, I don't know much about that. But he comes down and you drags him back upstairs and was like trying to find the dad because the wife had said that her husband was home too, but she just said that because she was scared. So she was like, my husband and my son are home. So he drives him up there and murders him in the head with the hammer. He tended to be over the top and beat the brains out until they oozed out.
No.
And they were more brutal towards men. So then he's searching for the husband and heard a dog barking on the way to the basement. So he was like, ooh, maybe I should get out of here. He again, like, made it look like a robbery, tried to break into the safe and like messied up the house again. The police were able to get shoe prints on this time, and they started a database search, and then the media was in and saying maybe this is connected to the Sing Dong case, the one previously. But there's no like physical, like they don't have anything
like
there,
DNA-wise.
any DNA-wise. Like they have a shoe print though. October 16th. I've
seen forensics files.
Yeah, they can get you. They will get you.
There's a pencil, a shoe print,
yeah,
and a partial thumbprint.
October 16th, 2003. Samsung Dong at 12:30 p.m. 1 week later. Her house was near a happy church. I don't know what that means, but so same method of breaking in, and this is Mrs. Yu. She was 60. He drags her into the bathroom and strikes her with the hammer. It seemed like he was rushed and in a hurry, so he kind of got out of there quickly. I think they said because he did it later in the day as opposed to in the morning time. He just had this thing with mornings. Mrs. Yu came home and found her son at 1:30 and was rushed to the medical center, but he did not survive. So now police, like, they're gathering all the footprints. The media is starting to go nuts. The police at this point aren't linking these cases because they're not like in the same city, and the police departments don't communicate with each other.
I mean, and they kind of are all over the place. Like,
yeah,
I guess not like weapon wise, but like victim wise.
Well, he changes his MO too.
Oh, does he?
Yes. So this is why it took a while to like figure out, because the other murders he commits has nothing to do with these murders that I'm talking about.
Really?
Yeah. So,
oh my God, there's more.
Yeah. On November 18th, 2003, he breaks into a house, Hinhua Dong, near...
I'm really proud of you.
I'm trying really hard.
I'm really proud of you.
I don't know if it's right, but I'm really trying. Thank you.
No, I'm really proud.
Thanks. I listen to a lot of people saying these names. So this was next to a cathedral, again, because he wanted to prove a point that God was not here to help. So he climbed up the gas pipe.
It's so... I'm sorry. Like, I can't get past this, like, mentally.
Yeah.
This, like, idea that living by a church is gonna, like, somehow God's gonna help you. Like,
yeah.
I'm not the most religious person. I would say I'm not very religious at all.
Same.
But, like, that's not how God works.
Right.
And, like, that's not how prayer works. Like,
right.
That's not how any of this works.
No.
I'm going through this with Blake. This is completely off topic. You know, he keeps praying for things. Like, we were at a restaurant, and he's like, I'm going to pray that my food gets here fast because I'm hungry. And I was like, that's not how, like, prayer works.
Right.
Like, that's not...
something you should pray for.
Like, that's just... God doesn't come down and do you a personal favor because you're hungry and we're at Cracker Barrel. Like, I'm trying to teach him that.
Yeah.
Which is hard because, like, I don't really understand it.
Yeah,
I've never been a super religious person, so it's hard for me.
Me either.
But he keeps doing it. And so then his food came out right after he prayed, which was coincidental. And he looks at me like the smug little 7-year-old he is. And he goes, see, Mom, told you I'd work.
Damn it.
So now what do I say? Like,
yep.
I'm like, that's a coincidence. And he's like, what's that?
Oh,
like,
God.
Okay.
Here we go.
Well, enjoy. Enjoy your pancakes.
Enjoy your food. Okay.
I don't know where that story came from.
Funny.
But it's, like, just interesting to me, like, the idea of, like, being so hung up that like living by a church means you have better protection from God.
Right. He'd also murder people by police stations just to prove the point that like he could get away with it.
These like this weird message he's trying to send, but like I'm not sure anyone else would connect that message.
Not yet. No one has connected to this message. Obviously,
but like I don't think anyone would connect that message unless he said that was the message, because a normal person understands that, like, just being in close proximity to a church doesn't afford you better protections of God. Like, I would assume being closer to a police station would help.
That's what I would assume too. Like, people wouldn't be as forthcoming and for like murder,
Yeah.
like that might deter a criminal from murdering right in front of a police station, but not him.
And honestly, I don't think it would. Like,
No.
criminals go to criminal, and they're going to do it wherever the fuck they want. They don't give a shit.
No, they don't. That's true.
So, anyway, sorry to detract you.
That's okay.
That was my thought.
So
I'll go back to being quiet.
He climbed up the gas pipe of this house and entered into the, on the second floor, and he finds Mrs. Bay.
Oh, this is a completely different MO.
Yeah. I mean,
I know you said it would change, but I was shocked that it happened so quickly.
He found Mrs. Bay, 53, which was the housekeeper, and drags her into the main bedroom. He sees grandfather Kim, who's 87, and a child are in the bedroom. You took advantage of that and killed the grandfather with the hammer. The housekeeper was holding the child and just screaming, because what else do? You rips away the child and hits the housekeeper with this hammer, who lies on the floor screaming. He brings the child to the living room, who was crying, and wraps him in a blanket to muffle the screams, almost to suffocation, but he does live. So he returned to the bathroom and finished off the housekeeper. You tried to make it look like a robbery and open the safe on the second floor with a pickaxe and pruning shears he found in the house. And he stuck the shears into the gap of the safe and tried to like open it, but the shears splinted, and then he got hurt and he had blood now. Okay. So now he's trying to wipe up the blood with tissue and Scotch tape, and decides that I can't leave any blood in the house because blood is DNA, so I'm going to burn it down. Mind you, the child's still on the couch crying. So
wow, that's like a really big jump there.
Yeah. So he put newspaper and clothes around the housekeeper and the 87-year-old man and lit them on fire. He waited outside to see if the house would burn down, which it didn't. It burned the people and that floor, but it didn't engulf the whole house in flames.
Impressive.
The daughter-in-law came home, found the house was on fire, grabbed her son, and he was fine. So he survived, thank God. Police were able to get a CCTV footage of this time because, not a lot of money, and this was back in 2003, not a lot of CCTV footage was out, but they only get the back of him walking away. So you can see him, and he's wearing his black backpack that he makes, and he's wearing the coat of the man that he just murdered. He took the coat. So now they know, like, how tall he is because of the CCTV footage.
How tall was he?
I don't know. He's not that big. Okay, now, all right, so we're going to stop here, and next week we are going to talk about the other murders with the other MO and finish it off. Thanks for listening. You can find us on Instagram at
The Murder Mamas,
Facebook,
The M Mamas,
Twitter,
The Murder Mamas,
email,
themurdermamas@gmail.com.
And if you like us and are happy with our content, please leave us a review and a 5-star rating. We would appreciate it. Bye.